Welcome, welcome, welcome. Appreciate everybody pulling up. We already got some people up in here, man. The comments is going in right now. As y'all can see, we got a special guest on Raid Honcho today. You already know what it is. CNG pulled up on us, man.
What's going on,
What's
man?
going on, CNG?
What's going on, man? How are you guys doing?
Man, just another day in the life, baby. I'm out here on the East Coast, though. It's already it's lunchtime for me, man. Yeah, it's still kind of morning for y'all, man.
Oh yeah, it's 12 o'clock over here. I woke up a little late today, man. I got a huge shift going on with everything, so I'm up hours at random times at nighttime. So
Yeah,
for me,
yo,
it's
bro,
definitely early.
we already know what type of time it is. We already know.
For sure. Been there, done that.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but but like I was saying, y'all can see we got a special guest, CNG, with us today. So we're gonna have we're gonna have a different aspect of the game than we used to. You know what I mean? Me and Honch, we be kind of agreeing on a lot of stuff, but we got a different perspective.
I be trying to disagree with you, but it just be hard when the shit makes sense. You know what I
mean? Me and Honcho would disagree on something we agree on, though. But
facts.
Let's see who we got up in here. Amazing Blue in the building. He said, "What up, Raid Honcho? Let's go, Big Ten champs." Okay,
yes, sir. The Wolverines, Michigan, baby, go blue.
Yeah, the Michigan boys winning or what?
Man, I was hoping to get Cincinnati in the first round, but I think we got to go against Georgia. That shit gonna be tough.
They just lost to Alabama, right?
Yeah, Alabama smoked them, but that SEC is just a different speed than that Big Ten, man. It's just different.
Most definitely. Chris Gang in the building. ONT6 is with us. We got to win this one for Gruden. Yeah. I know people talking about that like it's Washington's fault. Like it's Washington's fault. Gruden's gone.
Washington didn't send the email.
Most definitely. Desert Raider says, "We'll do it for Johnny, man. Do it for Johnny." What's good, Nation? We got Miguel up in here. KB always shouting out DC. I see you, man. Holly in the building.
Kenneth World Peace.
Oh, yes, shit. Sir. Raiders 805. What's good? How y'all youngsters doing today, man? We doing our thing. Tossie in the building. He says, "Roll Tide." Yo, chill out, man. Said Raider Dangerfield. What's good with you? He said, "What's up, Raid Honcho and CNG?" But let's go ahead and hop into the thing. Let's go ahead and hop into it, man. We got a Washington football team this week. We're coming off a win against on Thanksgiving against the Dallas Cowboys. My first question to really start this off is how much better are the Cowboys, or was that Cowboys team we faced, right, than this Washington football team? And do y'all expect us to come out putting up, some points like we did against the Cowboys?
I mean, I guess I'll go first. I think that I believe that if the Raiders had faced the Cowboys that had Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, we would have been in trouble. And I mean, to me, I always respect the Saints defense. Saints defense is always cohesive, always sound, just a good unit on that side of the ball. But yeah, I think Dallas was much better against the Saints than it would have been against us. Even though I will say I wasn't impressed with Dak. I wasn't super impressed with what they did. Yeah. It's just not a good matchup for us on that side of the ball with those weapons on the outside, with our corner situation. I think that would have just been tough for us. As far as Washington, I do feel like we can score points against Washington. I'm not afraid of Washington. But I will say, like, watching Washington go against Seattle, they were getting a lot of pressure on Russell. And I know that everybody says their offensive line is not that good, but I mean, shit, I don't know what our offensive line is, what offensive line is going to show up today, what we're going to be able to do. But I am more worried about that front seven for Washington or whatever it is, because they was getting a lot of pressure on Russell without really blitzing or stunting. It was just their base defense that was getting a lot of pressure in there. So I thought the Dallas team against the Saints was better than one we saw. I do think we can score on Washington, but I am a little worried about how our offensive line is going to hold up.
Yeah, that's a great question, and Honcho makes some good points right there. I think the Dallas Cowboys are much better than when they showed up against the Raiders, right? Raid and I talked about this just the other day. If the Raiders play a healthy Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if we win that game.
Nah.
Right? If we play them 10 times, I think we win once. It just happened that we beat them. But 33-36 against the team without their two best offensive players, a team that they didn't have their defensive end, right? DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, is one of the better players on that defense as well. Another thing to consider with the Washington football team is they've won 5 games, but that too, they're not the same team, right? They're banged up a little bit. Their pass rush isn't going to be the same. Chase Young's out for the season. Montez Sweat is not playing either. And then Landon Collins. I was actually watching their tape, and typically I don't watch a ton of tape, man, on the opposite teams. Typically I focus in around the Raiders. But I decided I had to watch the Washington football team, and the thing that I noticed was they were playing 3 safeties a ton, and it was Landon Collins that was coming in, and although he plays like that linebacker, Jonathan Abram type of role, he's still technically a safety in my eyes.
Yeah,
but he's out; he won't be playing. And the thing is I feel like their defense got better when they shifted him in there as like that linebacker. He covers tight ends, he can play the run, but he's not going to be there for them. And a guy that I loved coming out of college was Jamin Davis, and the Washington football team drafted him in the first round. And he hasn't played to where they expected him to play, but he will likely play a ton today with Collins out. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think the Raiders should be able to win, though. Right? Yeah, we're a better football team than this team. And this team is banged up. Like, let's be honest, their strength is their pass rush, and it's not at 100%.
So, but I feel like even not at 100%, that I was just nervous the way I saw them getting pressure on Russell Wilson. Yeah. It looked like it was very easy to force Russell Wilson outside of the pocket, and just knowing Jack Del Rio and him knowing Carr and knowing how maybe bringing guys off the edge could bother him. I'm not saying we can't get it done, but it does give me a little bit of caution to say, like, wow, you know what? We really got to be on our P's and Q's up front.
Yeah. How much do you think that's going to actually influence the game, though? Del Rio knowing Carr, like, how much will that actually influence it? Motivation, whether it's knowing Carr, whether it's, retaliation or vengeance on the franchise because he got fired. Like, how much does that actually play into the game, though?
Well, let me say this. I don't know if you guys know, but Del Rio said of Carr that he's not very good in cold weather games. Yeah. So I think Derek Carr is going to be very motivated to prove Del Rio wrong. I don't know how motivated, the defense of the Washington football team is going to be. Maybe they play for Del Rio, right? Maybe they show up. But remember, there were talks of Del Rio being fired before this, before the team kind of started stepping up the past couple of weeks. Like, the Washington football team fans wanted him fired.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Del Rio can. I don't know whether he wants to get revenge matters. I mean, he doesn't play. And it's just like, I feel like we have better players on offense than they have on defense. Like, so he could be as mad as he wants or get as much revenge as he wants. I think it's going to probably benefit Derek Carr and the Raiders if they try to do too much of man-to-man and blitzing, because Derek Carr might not be good when he's getting hit, but when you blitz, he seems to make the right reads and get the ball out quick. Yeah. And I just feel like that might backfire if they try to get too aggressive with the Raiders.
Almost definitely. I got super chat. It's JR65. He says it's Koontz time. And we'll get into talking about Malcolm Koontz here in a little bit when we get to the defensive side of the ball. But appreciate the super chat, brother. Definitely get back to that. Bill Haynes became a member. Welcome to the squad, family. Appreciate that, man. Make sure to pull up on the members only film sessions, man, for surely. Wavy's in the building with the $5 super chat. He says, what's good, fellas? You guys think Mullen is really worth all the hype that everyone is giving him to come in and be a lockdown DB? I don't know. I mean, we got a couple questions on defense, so we can go ahead and talk about it. Let's go ahead and jump into the defense, right? Because we have, in my opinion, we've been struggling on defense side of the ball last 3 games, give up 30 points each. Our run defense has been suspect really all year. Probably the best performance was last week in the run defense, but even then the pass was going hand. Like, Dak was getting some passes off, right? So does Mullen actually bring back like some help, or will it does the difference in play actually, is it going to be a significance?
I mean, no matter how you slice it or cut it, Trayvon Mullen comes back and he's either the best or second best corner on the team, period. Yeah. I mean, that can't hurt us, right? It can only help. And I just think it adds a little more credibility out there on the outside. Mullen's also not a terrible tackler as well, so he can definitely help in the run game too. But I just feel like, I mean, it's not about giving him too much credit. I mean, he's got to be better than Facing. He's got to be better than Amik. He's got to be better than whoever's going to be out there, Trufant, whoever it is. Like, Trayvon Mullen is good enough to be at bottom a CB2 in the NFL. Right now, we don't really have a CB2 in the NFL on that other side of Casey Hayward. So I definitely think it would definitely benefit us to get him back. I don't know if he's going to be locked down, but lockdown corners are week by week. Nobody's really a lockdown corner for a whole season, right? There's always going to be games and matchups where that lockdown corner is going to get beat a few times. So I don't think he's a lockdown corner, but he's definitely somebody who I feel comfortable with having on the outside.
Yeah, it's a good question. Is Trayvon Mullen worth the hype? I don't know how much hype he's getting, but I agree with everything Honcho's saying, right? He's the second best corner. He could be the best corner on our team, but he's at least, the very least, he's the second best corner on the roster.
Yeah.
And the scheme fits him well, right? So, I don't see him being overhyped. Now, I didn't hear anything. He isn't playing today, right? Like he hasn't been officially out.
No, I heard he's out. I heard he was out.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. So, I like Mullen. I think we should keep him around long term. Like you guys were saying, at worst he's CB2, and I think he's a solid CB2. You know what I mean? His upside would be, a potential that first stringer, that first person to come up and cover the number one wide receiver on the other side. But I feel like you don't really want that because that's not what I would expect from him. But definitely a CB2, a solid CB2. So
and like Sanjit said, the scheme. I mean, we play a lot of cover 3, a lot of zone. It's like it's not like we're going to put him on an island every single play. I mean, you don't even have to be a lockdown corner to play that type of scheme that the Raiders run. Now, maybe next year with a different coach, you might want different players, a different personnel for the scheme fit. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm just going to be playing 7 yards off and or even if I'm playing a press quarters or press thirds, like a number one receiver is not really a number one receiver when it's a zone. Like he's getting bracketed, he's getting multiple looks at him. So I just feel like if you have Hobbs in the slot, you have Casey Hayward on one side, how can you not feel a lot better having Trayvon Mullen opposite of that?
Yeah.
Like that sounds way better than what we have right now.
Yeah. That's a solid trio right there for sure.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. And after talking about Mullen, that brings me to talk about Koontz. As someone mentioned earlier, I mean, are we going to actually see a good dose of Koontz on the field, or is he going to actually get some burn to where we could say, okay, he did this good or that good, or is it going to be onesies and twosies where you can't really judge him?
I thought about this question earlier when we found out Carl Nassib might not play. And I looked at both Nassib and Cleveland Farrell's snaps per game. Pretty much every game they're playing 20 snaps, right? So if Koontz is actually going to replace Nassib and Koontz comes in with Cleveland Farrell, right? Those two guys rotate in when Max and Yannick come out. We should see him at least 20 snaps this game, right? So I think we will get to see him. Now, the question is, does he get a sack? Does he get a hit? Like, does he actually do anything? All right, and I'm looking forward to really breaking that tape down.
Yeah. I mean, even if he plays, whether he plays or doesn't play, for me, it's like I don't have any issue with what we already have up front. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, our issue is probably going to be more interior with our DTs and see what Hankins is going to show up and what he's going to be able to do. I thought he played great against the Cowboys, but I think one of our problems in the run defense is that defensive tackle spot for us, right? So, I mean, Koontz could come in and be great. I don't think it really changes anything because I feel like we were already good at that position. We already get enough production for me out of that position. So, I mean, if he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, I don't really – it's not really going to move the needle for me.
No. All right. I mean, I'm just thinking about this defense, though, and how much more help does it need to actually become more solidified, because – at the beginning of the season, I'm thinking, all right, we're going to be in the middle of the pack at least, right? Right now, we still have some time to go for us to make some adjustments and to move up in the rankings. But right now, we're looking like a bottom 5 defense, specifically if you just talk about points per game. So, like, what exactly are we going to have to do, or are we going to stop teams from scoring 30 points, or are we going to have to continue putting 30 points on the board to win?
Yeah, let me defend the defense a little bit. All right.
Oh shit.
Eye test, right? We all have eyes. We all watch film. The defense is clearly better than last year's defense. It's clearly better than any of the defenses we've had in the last 3 to 4 years. Obviously, the last 3 games we allowed a ton of points, and that has skewed the entire points per game ranking, right? The offense has to do their job as well, right? We can't just blame the defense. The offense, if they sustain drives, also helps the defense out. Right? I don't think, because I think right now we're 30th in points per game. I don't think we're the 30th defense in the NFL, right? I think realistically we're somewhere between like 14 and 18. Right? I think that's where we actually fit. Washington football team would be a great example. They should not score more than 20 points, right? They absolutely should not. If they do, then that kind of tells you where our defense is at. And our defense, maybe it is getting worse, right? We're getting some injuries, right? Last week, Carl Nassib got hurt and didn't play the entire game. A couple weeks before that, you lose your corner, right? Even Brandon Faison, I think, had a concussion last week. We're starting to have got like the third string depth guys kind of come in, and maybe that's impacting the defense, right? Because, if we're a healthy defense, I think we're definitely better. We're much better the first 5, 6, 7 weeks. We held Herbert to 28 points. Herbert had 24 in the first quarter against the Bengals today, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the defense is as bad as the statistics show.
I mean, I agree and disagree a little bit. I don't think I would say I don't think the players are as bad as our numbers show. Right? The scheme that we run allows those numbers to be high.
Yeah.
To me, the scheme that they run, if I was running that scheme, it would be, okay, let's not give up 50, but we're okay if we give up 25. That's the kind of defense we run. We don't run a defense that's like, let's get them 12, 14 points. I think our offense does have to do a lot better with keeping the ball, extending drives and stuff like that, putting points up. I agree. I mean, in the NFL today, to score 25 points is not that crazy, right? So,
it's not.
Yeah, I think our offense should be able to score. But when you look at, we're last in red zone defense, right? We're 25th on 4th down. We're 16th on 3rd downs. We're getting pressure, but we're not getting a lot of sacks. And we don't create any turnovers, really, with that defense. Our defense just on the field the whole game, just kind of giving up chunk plays here, chunk plays there. We'll get a pressure, but not a sack, right? I don't know what it would take for this defense to be better, because under the scheme that they run, I don't know how much more lockdown you can be. If your coach doesn't blitz, you're not putting the quarterback at any risk or at any harm of rushing passes and stuff like that. It's going to be hard for your DBs to make any interceptions or jump routes or anything like that. I agree that I don't think this defense personnel wise is not as bad as these numbers are, but the scheme we run, I'm not surprised that these are the numbers we have. I thought before the season we'd be 19th, 20th. I think this is a better defense than last year, but I almost feel like the players we have this year might have suited last year's defense a little better. They seem a little more competent, seem a little more polished around the edges. When you talk about a Nate Hobbs, when you talk about Trayvon Merritt coming in, having Yannick coming in, having Max being fully healthy, I think this defense is fast enough to be more aggressive, and I think that would benefit us in the way the numbers play out right now. But I mean, you are what your record is, and I feel like our offense does need to be better, but our defense isn't really helping themselves out with the way the play calling is on defense, not the players. The players are definitely better.
No, I agree with both of you guys. Especially with the stat line, right? I don't think we're 30th in the league. I don't think I wouldn't put our defense there at 30th.
No.
I definitely would have them 20 or below, in between 15 and 20 for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, the thing that holds me back from really trying to say that, though, is that we can't say we're on the field a lot and we're last in interceptions, right? You can't have that. If you're on the field, that means you have more opportunities to create turnovers, and we're just not creating those turnovers. We'll go on dry spells we'll have maybe a game to where we have 2 or 3 turnovers in that one game. And then for 4 weeks straight, we don't have a turnover. And then we'll have, another week to where we have 2 turnovers, and then another 4 weeks we haven't had. So I think that really plays into it a lot, especially when you start talking about time of possession, giving the ball back to your offense so they can accumulate that time. It's hard when you don't get those turnovers.
Well, I mean,
our defense gets a lot of pressure, but we're like you said, but like Honch was saying, though, as well, you're not getting those interceptions. You're not forcing any turnovers. Okay, you got pressure, but pressure doesn't mean it's a failed play. You know what I mean? So to me, I think we just need it. We definitely need to, especially when we don't blitz and we're just sitting back, and it'll be like 3rd and long, and you can see our defensive players right there on the first yard marker, and it's like, what are we doing? Why are we just backing off the whole way downfield?
Essentially, we play an aggressive prevent. That's really what it is. You're playing an aggressive prevent, because at the end of the day, you just want to keep everything in front of you. You're not, but like I always tell Raid all the time, as a defensive coordinator, you're either applying pressure or you're feeling it. And I just feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on those linebackers. They're putting a lot of pressure on those DBs when you're not putting the pressure on the offense to change what they want to do. You hardly ever see an offense audible against us. It's almost like they can just come out and run whatever the hell they called, because the looks they're getting are like, okay, yeah, we can do this. But when you talk about the offense needs to do better, I agree. But last game, I mean, you score 33 points and you almost lose. It's like, okay, there's where there's smoke, there's fire. And I just feel like our defense is very, very vanilla right now. And I know we got some new pieces and they got to come together. So I just wasn't expecting that much. So I'm not surprised, but I definitely wouldn't put us down in the bottom 5 of the NFL. Definitely
not. Let me bring up an alternative scenario and get your guys' thoughts on this. I was talking to some other guys that cover the NFL, and one of the things that these guys tell me is one thing that defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, some of the things that they like to do is maybe save what their actual defense really is until the end of November, December, January comes around, because they don't want teams to see their schemes. They don't want teams to see what they're going to do. A good example of that would be in the preseason. We ran this blitz where a linebacker would come up to the line of scrimmage. We'd bring the slot corner. The linebacker would take a step back, and then he'd come back and he'd come on a blitz. I think Tanner Muse did it once, and I forget who the other linebacker was that did it. And we did it only in the preseason, though. We have yet to run that actual blitz in any of the games. So I look at plays like that, and I think, is Gus Bradley saving those type of plays, right? Because that's like a third down blitz, right? You're going to run it when it's 3rd and 8, and you really need to stop, right? You're going to run that one play. Do you guys think Gus Bradley is maybe keeping things to the side, and then maybe he's going to unleash, whatever it is today going forward to really get us into the playoffs? How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, I definitely agree. I've seen it firsthand that offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators definitely do that. And I actually said in the beginning of the season with Gruden that Gruden was doing that with the offense. Like, he doesn't want to show everything he wants to use right now, especially when you got to play teams twice, right, in your division. I could definitely see that. And I also feel like Gus Bradley is in a position, like you talk about, Sanjit, when the offense is struggling, the defense can't take a lot of chances to try to force something with those offenses if it feels like, well, damn, we're not really scoring a lot of points. I can't afford to take a big risk right now and get beat for a touchdown or beat for a first down. So as much as I can be critical about Gus Bradley and the scheme itself, he's somewhat limited and handcuffed to what he can call on defense if the offense isn't doing what they need to do. It's like a marriage. It has to be a perfect balance. You can't just run out here and blitz 8 guys every play and risk getting beat if your offense can't go down there and get you 6 points in return. So I agree with you. I definitely think there's more that Gus could do. He's definitely got to hold off on certain things, whether it's personnel, whether it's down and distance, whether it's what the offense is doing that day and just matchups in general. So I definitely would agree that could definitely be a case.
Most definitely, man. Let me get to the couple of these super chats real quick. Gamble easy or gamble bleezy? I don't know. 916 says, what do you think Jack Del Rio got in store for DC Ford? We kind of touched on this earlier. We don't really. I mean, is he really like emotional about it? Does he really care? I mean, Derek Carr the one that fired him? You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, I think all he's gonna have for Derek Carr is a handshake at the end of the game. Congratulate him that he just bust his ass. That's about it. That's about it.
ONT6 says the 3 GOATs. When are you guys going to do breakdown film together? Koontz is going to get a sack. Why haven't we seen more of Tyree Gillespie? This is a pretty loaded super chat right here. ONT6 is a big time supporter. I know he supports all of us, man. Yeah. Appreciate the comment. He says Koontz. Well, first he says how you gonna when we're gonna break down film together. We're gonna have to figure it out, man. Get CNG on anything
y'all
alone.
Motherfuckers is holding out.
Get CNG alone. Get him on anything is hard enough, man. So be appreciative that he on Raid and Honch pregame show.
Facts.
But he says Koontz is going to get a sack. Why haven't we seen more of Tyree Gillespie? What y'all thoughts on that? I know we touched on Koontz a little bit earlier. I'm really excited to see what Koontz can do. I am honestly. I want to see him develop and get stronger. Yeah, gets a little bit more weight. See what he's been doing while he's been on injured or whatever he supposedly is. So I'm excited to see what Koontz has to bring in.
Yeah, just real quick on both Koontz and Gillespie, right? The reason why we haven't seen them isn't because they may not be good players, right? They just have better players in front of them, right? They just might not have had that opportunity yet, which isn't a big deal. I think when the time comes, it'll come. For Koontz, that should be today, right? For Gillespie, probably won't be today unless Abram gets hurt or something else happens. Merrick, even Dallin Levet is playing with time, right? So we would need to see injuries to those guys for Gillespie to step in, and that's not a knock on Gillespie at all.
I think Gillespie's hurt. Honestly,
is he hurt right now?
I think he's hurt. But if Sanjit, you remember a post draft, I remember you asking my favorite picks outside of Trayvon Merrigan. My second favorite pick was Gillespie because I thought with the speed, the way he can hit, I thought he could definitely be out there patrolling in that secondary. So for me, with the struggles of Jonathan Abram in the pass coverage, you could definitely see somebody out there. I mean, that's why we've seen Levitt out there a lot when it's passing situations. I would definitely like to see Gillespie out there when he's fully healthy, especially when we know it's 3rd and long, and just get Abram out of the position or out of the situation to be manned up on anybody. He seems to just be really bad in coverage. But outside of that, I don't know if Gillespie brings enough to the table to actually overtake what Jonathan Abram brings to the table, right? As poor as Jonathan Abram can play in secondary, like the way he plays up on the line of scrimmage and in the box is like, I don't think Gillespie can overpower that. Abram is really good with tackling. He's really good around the goal line. He just brings a lot to the table when it comes to that type of talent and physicality. So Gillespie, if he was healthy, I think we would see him more in passing situations or when they want to go 4 deep. I definitely could see that. But yeah, I'm excited to see him next year. Hopefully he comes back fully healthy. And whoever in the chat said for me to get Game Pass and I will have the tape. Look, man, I tried. I don't think that shit is on there no more, man. So
hit me up, man. I'll get it for you. Hit me up.
I like Tyree. I like Tyree Gillespie, man. I like him just as much as I do Abram, honestly. I don't think he would be that far of a drop-off when you consider him and Abram around the line of scrimmage. Even with Gillespie's tape in college, he was playing well around the line of scrimmage. Undoubtedly, I could say his coverage is going to be better than Abrams, or not just as good. I mean, you can't really do worse than what Abrams been doing. So, and that's kind of what Gillespie's kind of, asterisk coming out of college was covering Kyle Pitts, making hits on Alabama players in coverage, stuff like that. So I feel like when you see flashes in coverage like that, but also he's a good tackler around the line of scrimmage. He could get through blocks. I don't think he's as quick and has that like acceleration and burst that Abram has, but I think he has speed. I think he still has speed and still is a solid tackler and can make those plays. So I like Tyree Gillespie, man, even coming out of college. So I would definitely.
The only thing is that even though he might be able to do those things, I mean, obviously we haven't seen a big sample size of it, but I will say, I just don't know if he's going to be as natural as Abram is around the line of scrimmage. Yeah. Like, Abram is so natural around the line of scrimmage. I remember telling Sanjit, like, yo, why don't they just make him a backer? And then Sanjit put me in my place talking about he wouldn't be able to spill and scrape over the line. And he was right. But to me, that's how good I think how natural Abram is just around the ball and finding ways to make tackles close to the line of scrimmage. Even though Gillespie might be able to do it and he could do it, I just don't know if he's going to be as natural as Abram is at doing it, man. Abram finds the ball when it's those sweeps and those runs, man.
And that's the thing, right? Is we're not going to have superstar players, right? And like not all of our players are going to do everything great, right? Yeah. Max Crosby is an example of that. He's really good against the pass rush, not as good against the run. But no one ever says anything when Max Crosby doesn't fill his gap. No one says, oh, take him out. But people are all over Abram, and I'm not sure exactly why that is. But, Honcho, as you say, like Abram against the run is very natural, man.
Yeah.
You can't deny isn't he like the top 2 or 3 in tackles for safeties? Or he may be leading safeties for tackles.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you look at the game this past week, and you look at that 2-point conversion, it was him that made the stop. And it's not like he went free and he's had to make a tackle. He got off of a block and made the tackle.
That's not talent. That's not talent. He's just a ball hawk inside of the box. Some people are ball hawks. I think Trayvon Merrick is a ball hawk in a sense in deep center field. Abram around the line of scrimmage just finds the ball and he's full speed with it. That it's not talent or skill. He just finds a way to be around the football. And I don't know if as good as Gillespie is, I don't know if he can replace that. Like that's something you can't really teach.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Wavy says you guys rocks. Thanks. Appreciate the super chat, brother.
What's up?
Mo Dizzle says first 3 games LV gave up a bunch of points too. I mean, like I said, in my opinion, I think we're still around 15 to 20 in that defensive range, but we have given up a lot of points. I've made the example where, this last game we were up. We were leading the whole entire game against the Cowboys. How do we end up in overtime? We were up a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, with 3 minutes left on the clock. And the Cowboys just got the ball. Why do you let them score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion? I just think those kind of things are unacceptable. We also scored a field goal after that, and then they still let the Cowboys go down and score a field goal to tie it up. So, and then you look at the Dolphins game, like, dude, that same thing happened against the Dolphins with Jacoby Brissett. That's unacceptable. Should not let Jacoby Brissett truck all the way downfield and score a touchdown to tie it. So we go to overtime with the Dolphins. That's just too much.
That's something that I talked about in the beginning of the shout out to the Charles Wilson in the background. I see that. That's what it is. That goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of the season about this defense is that just because you get a new coach and you get a new scheme doesn't change always the culture of a defense right away. It takes time.
Yeah.
And the culture of our defense has been poor in the red zone. The culture of our defense has been poor on third down. Those things are not going to change because you have to kind of relearn those things. Like the Raiders defense is young in the sense of they've just been together this year, new coordinator, different scheme. Like they're just not good in situational football. That's what I continue to say about this team. This team seems to have Hobbs is a great tackler, right? Abram is a good tackler. We have good tacklers on the team, but then it's like, damn, we miss a lot of tackles though. It's weird, like, and it's just because situational. When we need to play the most, the defense is just not ready to make the play. And I think you can throw away the numbers. Sanjit talks about the eye test. That's what I see the most. It seems like when it's that 3rd and 8, when you really need that stop, it's like, okay, they're gonna get the first down here. And then you might get the ball back later down in the drive. 2 minutes later, you might get it back. But that's 2 minutes you could have saved and gave to the offense to give them an opportunity. I just feel like situationally, this defense hasn't turned the corner yet. And as a defensive coordinator, you got to keep trying different things, which is how Dallas could get back in the game, which is how Miami could do things. Because until you've thrown everything at the dartboard or everything at the wall to see what sticks, you don't really know what your identity is going to be yet. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to continue to try things. And this is why I said this team was being built for 22, 23, because you got to have those learning curves and those hurdles to get over before you actually know what you have on the field.
Yeah.
So
now, do you think injuries has impacted our defense? Like you look at this past week against the Cowboys, we lost Brian Faison.
Yeah.
But even then, like he's a backup himself, right? Like we lost Trayvon Mullen earlier. Even then, like before the season started, we lost both Nick Morrow and Javen White. Like those two guys were supposed to be our linebackers, or at least Morrow was supposed to be the starting linebacker. I know Denzel Perryman's been great against the run, but he's equally as bad against the pass, right? Those type of things, in my opinion, have kind of hindered the Raiders a little bit, right? And even Gerald McCoy, like, the Raiders' plan was different coming into the season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would agree 100%. The defense is set up for a different skill set. And we don't actually have that skill set in every position right now. And it's because of injuries. But at the end of the day, I'm not too down on the defense. I'm down on the fact that those injuries can be a reason for why the defense is struggling. But injuries on the offensive side don't seem to be reasons why the offense might struggle. So I only point out the defensive shit because it's like, those aren't excuses, right? Somebody can say, oh, that's just an excuse. You got another linebacker. You got another corner. Like, no. Those are justifications for why things don't work accordingly. And I think this offense should be able to score 25, 30 points a game. But when you don't have a number one receiver, Darren Waller's banged up. When Incognito doesn't come back, when Leatherwood's not what we thought he is yet, Josh Jacobs being banged up, I just think it goes hand in hand. The same way the offense is struggling because of their reasons, the defense is struggling as well. And if anybody cares enough to watch the game, you would see that. And, we don't just look at the scores. We don't look at the box scores. If you actually watch the game or watch the film, you'll see that this defense would be better if Moore was out there, if Javin White was out there. Like there's nobody that can deny that if Trayvon Mullen is out there. Like there's no way you can deny that this defense would be better. And I totally agree. It's 100%, man. 100% what you're saying.
I'm going to get to a couple of these super chats. Louis says, Mount Rushmore Raiders YouTube just missing Docs here. Shout out Graf, man. We'll have to get him up on here for one of these, most definitely. Bernal says, do we give Joe Brady a shot? He got fired today.
Fuck no.
He got fired for a reason, man. He got fired for a reason.
But then again, the Raiders love signing motherfuckers that get fired. I don't want him.
Mo Dizzle says all 22 is touchy subject for Honcho.
And fucking you damn right it is. Brandon goddamn right it is.
Brandon Abram says 3 of my favorite Raider YouTubers. Let's get that W today. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the support, brother. I know a lot of people been anticipating this one right here.
Shit, I had no idea it was going down. I just seen this shit on Instagram.
Daniel Kim says, I would love to see a live in the game discussion and watch party with you guys on together. Would be dope. Raiders. Yeah, that would be dope.
We should pick a game, man. We should pick a game like a rivalry game, yo. Like when we play the Chiefs or one of our rivals again. We should do that shit, yo.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm definitely down to do that, man.
That should have been fire.
Yeah.
Minus is great seeing all 3 of you together. Saves me watching different uploads.
I know.
I know. He got his super chat word. Appreciate the support, brother. He says they should use a Tampa 2 type defense, have it too high with Gillespie and Merrick, and let Abram play the middle robber role. I just don't like Abram as a linebacker. He's too small as a linebacker.
You can't and I think Watts said it in one of the chats before I was in. And he said Abram would be like a perfect rover. Like, yeah, if this was high school or college, Abram would be a good rover. But I don't think you could run that Tampa 2 style like that, because you're essentially, that would mean that Abram would be middle linebacker, right? Because I think Tampa 2, you're kind of dropping your middle backer into the middle field, and then you would take away our actual best middle backer right now, which would be Denzel Perryman. You would kind of take him out of
would
position.
Be so suspect.
Yeah, like that just wouldn't work with the personnel we have right now. Like it just wouldn't work.
Most definitely. Hey, Big Bro pulled up on us, man. Shout out, Big Bro. He says, man, Sanjit, that glare is killing my Seawood poster.
He's talking about this right here. Or this way.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Big Bro in the building. Shout out Cole G, man. Mo Dizzle says, what is the fastest path to one Super Bowl? Keep DC staff and build off what is here, or trade DC for draft cap and start a new quarterback, possibly new staff? I just want one. Oh, that man trying to throw a haymaker at us. All right, we'll touch on this super chat real quick, because I don't want to spend a lot of time. What's y'all thoughts on this one, real quick?
I'll go first. I'll go first, man. You guys know I've been very, very tough on DC.
Yeah.
I don't hate DC. I think he's a great person. He's been the leader of this franchise 8 years now. I say this, right? I think the way to build a Super Bowl team, you have to have a quarterback on a cheap contract, and you have to have a good team around him, right? But I also think that once you spend $30 to $40 million on a quarterback, or even more, depending on what the cap is at this point, once you spend that much money on a quarterback, you're going to hinder your team. And what happens is now your quarterback has to be your best offensive player. All right. You can pay Patrick Mahomes $45 million if Patrick Mahomes can continue doing what he's done his entire career. You can pay whoever else, whatever other top quarterback, all the money, because they'll continue to be great, right? Aaron Rodgers has had multiple really, really solid wide receivers, right? Because it's Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day. Derek Carr, I don't know if he can do that. I don't know if Derek Carr can have, be paid $40-45 million and he could carry your offense, right, with no weapons or minimal weapons. I know he can carry an offense if he has a ton of weapons, a good offensive line, but you can't build that way. It's impossible to have a lot of weapons, a good offensive line, and then a good defense as well. It's literally impossible to do that. The New England Patriots have everything going for them. They don't have receivers, but they have a rookie quarterback, right? Once that quarterback gets paid for the Patriots, they're going to be hindered as well a little bit, right? So for me, the way to build a team is you have to have a quarterback on a cheap contract, $4, $5, $6 million. Derek Carr is not going to sign that contract, right? You have to have a quarterback with a rookie contract, or he has to be a top 5 quarterback. And Derek Carr's neither right now. So I just feel like it's tough to roll with Derek Carr if you want to build everything else. You could try doing it, but you're not going to have a top 10 defense and at the same time a bunch of weapons, right? Okay. So for me, the way forward is let's build the defense. I think the Raiders haven't had a good defense for such a long time. And once you do have a good defense, and you can roll with Carr for the next 2 years as you're building that defense, right? But once you have that defense, Max Crosby's going to want $25 million, right? He's going to want top 3, 4, 5 defensive end salary. Yannick Ngakoue is making $13 million. He's not going to sign with the Raiders and get $13 million when he re-signs his contract, right? Are we going to keep Jonathan Abram and Trayvon Mullen and Nicholas Morrow? Are we going to keep all these guys? And do we have the cap, right? So I think it's going to be very tricky.
So you're getting a rookie quarterback in next year. This you're gonna
not this offseason.
Well, no. So the next offseason.
I think the question.
You're saying the fastest.
That's what I was about to say. Is like it depends how fast. Like, what are you talking about? The next 2 years? Like, if you wanted to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, in my opinion, you would keep the quarterback in place that you have, and you would fix at minimum the line in front of them and some pieces on that defense. Because I don't think you can just go from a 7-win team to a Super Bowl team necessarily without being a playoff team first. So to me, I would build a playoff team. I think Derek Carr is a playoff quarterback. Once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen at that point, right? So I think if you're talking about fastest, I don't think you bring in a new quarterback now and you get there faster than if you kept Derek Carr. I think if you just keep Derek Carr and improve on that line, because that's going to improve your running game.
Let me ask you a question. You're saying to improve the offensive line, right? Where? What do you improve? Because outside of our right tackle, from right guard to left tackle, and I don't know if Alex Leatherwood's the right guard going forward, but from right guard to left tackle, those guys are our future. Those guys aren't going to be changed unless, at least going into next year, those will be the guys that have the opportunity. Now, I understand they can get better with like experience, right? And I think that's what's naturally going to happen.
Maybe they need a better fucking coach. I don't know. Like, but you're not gonna put a rookie quarterback behind that line and think you're going to the Super Bowl faster.
No, and see that's the thing though, is I'm not saying let's get a rookie quarterback next year because our team's nowhere there, right? But I do think going into next year, the offensive line is going to be way better going into next year. Right? They've made improvements just this year, right? In certain games, they've looked really good, and at times they look bad as well.
So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and then so what I'm saying is next year the line will be better. Obviously, we need to fix the Brandon Parker situation. I don't know if Leatherwood's the right tackle, and then maybe Good stays at right guard. You fix that situation right there on the offensive line. I think not next year, but the year after. I think this O-line, if it stays together, you fix the right tackle position. I think we have a good offensive line. I think that offensive line can win.
But we're not disagreeing because I didn't say replace anybody. I just said improve the offensive line. Whatever you got to do to improve it, improve the offensive line. I said get some more pieces on defense. I'm not saying you need to move anybody in the offensive line, but they need to play better. So whatever that's going to be, whether it's new coach, new blocking schemes, whatever it's going to be, improve the line. So meaning the line has to be better. And then you got to get some pieces on defense. To me, the fastest way. The fastest way. If you're talking about an 8-year plan, well, then you go get a quarterback, you go get a new wide receiver, you spend time getting a cornerback that can be shut down, and you do all of those things. But if you're talking about, to me, from where we are right now at 6-5 to being a Super Bowl contender, to me, a new quarterback isn't in the equation for me, because I don't know how many quarterbacks in the NFL right now who I feel are playoff quarterbacks could do well with the way our team is currently formatted. I just don't know. So I don't know if bringing another quarterback changes what our team looks like in the long run. It might change individual games here and there, but in the long run, if Derek Carr is a 9-win quarterback, I don't know how many quarterbacks in the NFL come in right now with this same team and make us a 12 or 13 win team. So I just think that offensive line needs to be a little better in situations again, because I know if you look at the totality of it, right, the big picture, offensive line doesn't look that bad. They're blocking better this game than they did that game. And it's because you're taking the total number, right? You're taking a total number. But just like our defense, situationally, when we need the most out of our offensive line, I don't know if we necessarily get it all the time consistently. That's what they need to improve on. Being good when it counts the most, when it's those 3rd and 1s. When it's 3rd and 1, Josh Jacobs should not be getting touched in the backfield at all. You know what I mean? When it's 3rd and 6, Derek Carr should be able to take a 3-step drop without having somebody directly in his chin. So I just think right now, you can add any quarterback to that. I don't think those change right now. So if you just improve that offensive line, add a few pieces on defense, I think that's probably the quickest way.
Just to add something to it real quick, and we'll go ahead and go into something. But I would say it's a little bit of both, like honestly, because you still have Carr. So even if you're talking about the next 2 or 3 years, you still have Carr next year, and then you'd be able to build around Carr in this offseason going into next year. You'll have a bunch of new pieces, and if Carr is not the answer, you can move on because his contract is going to be up, right? Then you could draft a quarterback, and you'll have a team with a lot more pieces. Like Honcho was saying, he said you got to add more pieces on the defense. Well, you had the opportunity when you had Carr that last year. You had opportunity to add wide receivers and get a right tackle and figure out the offensive line thing. So when you bring in a rookie quarterback, if Carr's not the answer, then he'll be able to step into a solid team. There'd be no excuse at that point. And not only would you be able to bring in a rookie quarterback, you'd also be able to bring in more pieces at that moment because you just freed up so much cap. So I think it just depends on whichever way you want to go with it. But if you did get a rookie quarterback, you would damn near have to hit. And hopefully it's not Josh Rosen or Drew Lock, because then you're going to really screw yourself. And it's going to suck because your defense ain't going to be good forever. Those players aren't going to be there forever. You know what I mean? And those weapons we brought in is, they're going to waste their time. So
let's just be fair. I'm not saying I think Derek Carr is the answer, right? Let's just be clear. I'm not saying that because the answer would mean it's a definite. This is the guy. Yeah. This is the answer to all our problems. I don't think Derek Carr is the answer to all our problems. I don't think that. But I do, because I think if you had a Kyler Murray on this team, it might look different, right? Just the skill set for what we have, right? Like it might look different. So obviously, if Derek Carr was the answer, it wouldn't be a discussion. Everybody would know he's the answer. So I'm not sitting here saying Derek Carr is the answer, but just to answer the question of the fastest, I think you would probably keep Derek Carr there just because he's good enough to get the job done. Might not be the answer, but if you can improve on certain areas, I think he's good enough to get it done.
And that's a good point, right? Is how many Cardinal fans are saying Kyler Murray's not the guy, or Charger fans saying Justin Herbert's not the guy, right? How many of those fans are saying that?
I agree.
As opposed to with the Raiders, it's 25 to 30% of fans, maybe more, maybe less, are saying they don't believe in Derek Carr, right? And he hasn't done enough to say otherwise, right? Because he's inconsistent. Like he looked like the greatest quarterback in the world against the Broncos and the Eagles, and then to go 3 straight weeks averaging 13.5 points, being the worst offense in the entire league for those 3 weeks, right? That's for me. That's the difference in Carr. And if he's consistent, if he plays even the way he played last week, if he plays like that the entire season, I'll roll with him for the next 100 years, right? Because that wins, right? That 100% wins. I just can't have that inconsistency.
I agree. I
agree with that. I agree with that also, man. But you got to remember, although there's Herberts and there's Murrays, you also have Josh Rosen, Zach Wilson, Drew Lock, who's just right across the way from us in the division. That we've seen Drew Lock, and that could potentially be someone like us. So
here's another thing though. Here's another thing though. The Broncos and the Cardinals have both already moved on from those guys. They found out within the first couple of years that these guys are not it, and they've moved on, right? I also don't want the Raiders to get stuck in what the Vikings have done. They're stuck with Kirk Cousins for whatever reason. Like the Vikings are better off trading 3 first-round picks, as the Niners did, and take a top 5 quarterback or a top 10 quarterback, whatever it may be. The Patriots got Mac Jones, and Mac Jones isn't. I don't even think he's gonna be the best quarterback among the group. But he's in a situation where he's not making much money, and they're a well-coached team. They're a good defense. Because the Patriots' offense is trash.
Let me ask you this. If Carr were to take a Brady type of contract, would you keep him?
What is his cap? If he made $20 million, because Brady's not. People have this misconception that Brady's getting paid $20 million or like 15 or 5 million. He's not.
He's getting 25, isn't he?
What they do is they push his cap in the future years. Brady's still getting on average $40-45 million a year. But what they're doing is they're going to say, we're going to take the cap hit of $20 million this year, and we'll push 25 to next year. And then when next year comes around, they'll do the same thing. They'll say, instead of taking that 25 plus the 45, we'll take a cap hit of 20 this year and we'll push 65 next year. The reason why the Patriots struggled so much last year was because all of the amount of times they took Brady's cap hit and they took it in the future years, they had to make up for that, right? And they had a huge dead cap hit last year for Tom Brady. They ate it. They took it last year, and this year they were able to retool, right? Now, if the Raiders did that with Carr, which I think is a smart thing to do, right? The Rams do it with their players, right? They take future cap hits, and you can just keep doing that forever. I think that's the way to go, and I'd be down with that. If we pay Derek Carr $35 million, and he's willing to, and we're able to adjust the cap a little bit, where $20 million gets hit in this year, and we'll just kind of eat the dead cap in the future years, I think the Raiders can do it, and I would absolutely keep Carr, but he has to play consistent.
I agree. And the last thing I'll just say about Carr, because obviously we don't want to talk about Carr the whole time, but it's just that I think when we talk about the Kyler Murrays and the Justin Herberts, I think we can put them in the Raiders team, and it will look better because of the skill set. Not necessarily because they're better. It's just that they're deodorants to what we have problems with, right? I think if we had a Buccaneers front line, you wouldn't need a quarterback like Kyler Murray. You wouldn't need a Kyler Murray. If you had a Patriots front line, you wouldn't need a Kyler Murray. But when you consistently have problems with the front line, whether it be last year before that, this year, 2017, when you have problems with the defense that can't seem to stop anybody consistently, I think that's why you need to go out there and find a quarterback like a Lamar Jackson or a Deshaun Watson. And I think that some fans, the big percentage of them that want to replace Carr, they want to replace him with somebody, but don't understand you just need to replace the skill set because the lack of what's in front of him. I think Derek Carr is capable talent-wise and ability-wise to get the job done. But if you're going to tell me he's never going to have time to really sit back there and throw the ball from a clean pocket, well, then, you better get somebody who can run the damn ball. So I think that Carr can get it done, but there are different players with a better skill set for the team we have currently assembled right now.
No, You know, I don't. One thing I don't agree with Carr being inconsistent. I don't agree with that. And another thing is, I don't think you could take a Murray or a Herbert and put them on this team and think that something's new is going to happen. I don't think so. I don't think we'd win more games. I just don't. I mean, you can see Herbert with the team he has right now. Why are they have the same amount of wins as us then? There's no way you can sit here and
Chargers
hold on, with everything that's happened up to this point. You're telling me Herbert would have a better record than we currently have? There's no way. I don't see it. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it.
I know. I was watching one of your shows, Raid, a couple days ago. I think it was you and Andy.
Motherfucker was scouting you.
You made a point. You made a point that I disagreed with, and you said that the Chargers' offense is better than the Raiders' offense. Yeah. I totally disagree with that. Keenan Allen is not he's not what he was 2 or 3 years ago. Keenan Allen's not that quick. He's not a burner.
Is he better than Bryan Edwards?
I mean, he's a little bit better than Bryan Edwards.
No, he's light years ahead of Bryan Edwards. There's no way you could even compare the two. There's no way. Come on now.
So let me ask you this: is Darren Waller better than Keenan Allen? Straight up, is he better than? Keenan Allen?
No, he's not.
Darren Waller is better than Keenan.
No, he's not, bro. Darren Waller is only good because he got moved to tight end position. If Darren Waller was a full-time wide receiver,
I don't know why people think he's so
good. If Darren Waller was a full-time wide receiver, you line him up against Keenan Allen, you're gonna pick Keenan Allen because he's a better wide receiver. He's better. And he gets way more yak yards. He gets way more yak yards.
At the end of the day, Raid, I don't disagree. Raid, I don't disagree with you, but I think we would have to say that Derek Carr is not inconsistent as far as ability and talent. I would say, as a huge Derek Carr fan, I do believe Derek Carr is inconsistent in his decision-making. I believe his decision-making, to me, is inconsistent. Like, sometimes he's aggressive, sometimes he's not. Sometimes he dinks and dunks, sometimes he takes chances. The difference between him and Kyler Murray, to me, is just that when you think of the word playmaker, there are certain players that fall in that category. And when shit hits the fan, you want somebody who can make a play. Derek Carr almost needs someone to make a play with him or for him. Kyler Murray can go make a play for himself and his team. And I'm not saying he's better or worse. I'm just saying there's certain players that can just go make plays. Like Tim Tebow was like that in college. Like, he was just a playmaker. It didn't matter what was going on. He could go make a play, right? So I just think Derek Carr might not be a playmaker on his own. Kyler Murray is.
Let me ask you a question, Ray. Who's the worst quarterback? Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, or Kyler Murray? Who's the worst quarterback of the three?
Out of the three?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
Oh, my God.
I choose Justin Herbert as the worst, yes.
Yo.
And I said, no, hold on. Because when Justin Herbert was being drafted, I said he was the best quarterback coming out of that draft. I thought he was the best quarterback coming out of the draft. But I watched Justin Herbert's games. He's our division rival. I've watched the film on him. The dude is not clutch like that. I'm sorry. He's a choke. He's not as good. He will literally just lob it up. And because his receivers can go up there and get it like Mike Williams, if you were watching the Chargers and Bengals game today, bro, this man is just throwing up ducks. And dude, Mike Williams is just jumping over it. And I'm not taking that away from Herbert. Hold on. I'm not taking that away from Herbert. But earlier, you guys just said that Herbert could be on his team or we'd be better off. But their record is the same.
Who said that?
You said if we had a Kyler Murray or a Herbert, we'd be better because of the skill set. I don't think that would be it.
What do you mean it's not? What do you? I don't.
I don't. So think, what I'm saying is like no. I don't think we'd be elevated because we see.
Listen, Ray. This is what I'm saying. If you look at the whole schedule, you can say we would be the same, but we'd be worse with Justin Herbert. But I'm talking in particular games on particular plays, a different quarterback makes a play that we can't make. That's it. And that game might be a win because of that. I think Justin Herbert around the red zone, to me, is probably going to have more skill set to get a touchdown for us than Derek Carr can have in situations. Same thing with Kyler Murray.
That's purely. I mean,
hypothetical. This whole conversation,
in my opinion, you can't. But at the same time, we'll sit here and say Derek Carr gets it done.
What do you mean?
Like when it's clutch time, we'll sit here and say Carr gets it done. So
Derek Carr's clutch.
So exactly my point. So when it's time to make a play, when you talk about a playmaker, I feel like if we had to put the chips down and we're who's going to?
Let me ask you a question real quick, Ray.
All right, Derek Carr's going to be able to get the points for us. So that's kind of what I'm saying.
You're saying DC is clutch, right? And I'm not disagreeing with that. But did he come up clutch against the Giants and the Bengals? We're down by one touchdown against both of those teams. Did he come up clutch against those teams? Because he didn't against the Giants for sure. right? We had the ball. We could have went downfield. We could have scored, tied the game.
I mean, I agree, but the thing is, I agree. He had a bad game against the Giants. But tell me another game to where you remember he was playing as bad against the Giants in another game, though.
I think Raid. What I'm saying to you is, and we all know that Derek Carr is my guy. I didn't say Derek Carr be the worst out of those three. My point is that if you told me,
hold on, who would be the worst out of the three then?
Listen, let me say what I'm about to say.
First answer.
Let me say what I'm about to say. Let me say what I'm about to say.
All right.
Because it's a loaded question, first of all. Second of all, look, let me make my point. My point is that if you told me we're on the 10-yard line and it's 4th and goal, and pass protection is going to break down and receivers are going to be covered, what quarterback is going to be better for us?
Kyler Murray.
That's my point. In certain situations, I can see why a different skill set would benefit the Raiders in certain situations. Not being clutch, because we could get a touchdown in the first quarter. Has nothing to do with being clutch, but that touchdown in the first quarter might save Derek Carr from having to be clutch in the fourth quarter. So all I'm saying is a different skill set might put points on the board in situations where we've seen us not be able to get points. That's all I'm saying.
But when the game's on the line and you're throwing picks in the fourth quarter,
I wasn't talking about the game on the line.
I know, but what I'm saying is you're talking about in the first quarter. He was able to get a score in the red zone, so then now Carr has to be clutch in the fourth quarter.
If Derek Carr
if Herbert's throwing picks, if the game's on the line and Herbert's throwing picks, then what are we arguing? That's all I'm saying.
No,
what are we arguing?
Because you're arguing what fits your narrative, and I'm going to argue what fits my narrative. That's the argument. But the facts is if you agree that we don't have a good offensive line, then an athletic quarterback would benefit us in certain situations. There's no argument there.
I agree with that. But who's
That's
the
what
worst?
I said.
But hold on. Who's the worst out of the three?
Out of what three?
Don't play with me. Who's the worst out of the three?
What?
Huh?
Fucking Mike, no. The worst out of those three would be dependent on what team they on.
No, yeah, you see, look at this. I'll say Herbert.
I'm gonna say Carr is the worst because he's in year 8 and the other two are a second year and a third year quarterback. So I'm gonna say Carr is the worst. So we shouldn't be having this debate. We should know which one's the best.
I mean, let me get to all right, man. Let me get to these
all right, man. The light skin rebuttal. All right, man.
No, because I wanted to get on what he said earlier. He was saying the Chargers had a better skill players. And you started talking about Keenan Allen. We didn't even get to Mike Williams or Eckler or Jared Cook, because I guarantee you put Jared Cook on this team, he'll have production, bro. I guarantee it. So hold on. So you say you say we have better skilled players than the Chargers. I don't agree with that, man. I definitely don't agree with that.
I think Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, they're good players. They make plays. You give Kenyon Drake the ball in the open field, he's going to make a play. You give Josh Jacobs the ball in the open field,
but the thing is, I've yet to see
it. Is going crazy right now.
I've yet to see it, though. That's the thing. I've yet to see Josh Jacobs. I've yet to see Carr be able to throw somebody a 5-yard pass and then take it to the house for 50 yards. I have yet to see that. There's a reason Derek Carr is second in the league with most air yards, because everything we do is through the air. The only way we will score is if the ball is thrown 50 yards downfield and then we score. That's the only way. That's why he's second in air yards. People say he dinks and dunks. No, only person ahead of him that throws more in the air is Josh Allen. That's it. He throws more passes in the air than Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, every single other quarterback. So it's
for the record, Herbert is third out of that list, just so you know.
No, he's not. Herbert
no,
dinks and dunks.
That fucking question you asked me.
Herbert is third. Dinks and dunks. I think he's like third in like dinking and dunking.
Tangents.
So
I'm saying,
that's what I'm saying.
You said who's the worst quarterback?
That's what I'm saying, bro. Look.
No, you said who's the worst quarterback of the three. I'm saying Justin Herbert is third.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Because I think Justin Herbert by himself, I don't think Justin Herbert by himself can do what Derek Carr does by himself. That's all. Derek Carr has done a lot with a little, in my opinion, in his whole career.
And that's where we disagree, because I feel the Raiders have better offensive players than the Chargers. You guys may feel the opposite, right? So obviously we're going to disagree with that, right? At the end of the day, it's subjective, right? Yeah. Everybody, it's an opinion at the end of the day, right? There's no fact behind any of it, right? It is what it is, right?
I think the feeling of having Justin Herbert would be better because he's younger. He's on a rookie contract. He's a younger dude. It's new. The idea of it would be like, okay, that's better. No. He has a good skill set. He's tall. He has a good arm. But to me, I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Honcho. I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
No, I was saying you're right. The point you made is right.
But I'm saying in general, you definitely would get that feeling. But I just say when you take a step back, for me, when I take a step back, I'm like, yo, nah, I'm taking Carr. Sorry, Herbert. I'm sorry. I'm taking Carr. It's just what it is.
But you said it right. Every quarterback would be better than Derek Carr on the Raiders only because you haven't seen it yet. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. the idea of Justin Herbert on the Raiders is better than Carr because you ain't seen it yet. Because to me, when talent versus talent, the only thing that's going to decide the difference is coaching scheme, game planning, play calling. And we can say that the Raiders have a better offense than the Chargers. Don't mean they use it well. If the Chargers do what they do with that offense that you think is not as good as ours, imagine what they like. Come on.
But the thing is, when people say that, I like to use the example of the Rams. People always bring the Rams up, how that's Junior Gruden, how they basically run the same offense as us, whatever the case may be. I don't know how totally true that is, but it's like you see the weapons they have. If those are the weapons they're going out there with, then we should emulate that in a sense.
Yeah.
Like we should have.
Let's be clear.
So and we talked about it a little bit. Renfro or Cup, and it's like they're both very good, but Cup is twice the size of Renfro, so it's a huge difference there. And then
let's be clear.
Then you have Woods, who went out on injury, but then they still have OBJ, and then we go get their scraps in Deshaun Jackson, and so it's like it just goes to show how much talent do we really have, and who are we comparing ourselves to when we talk about talent? You know what I mean? Are we comparing ourselves to teams that are 6-5 just like us? And we're on the verge of talking about getting rid of our quarterback when we don't have the same talent as the other teams.
Only Raiders fans. It's only Raiders fans that think we have talent. Motherfuckers around the league know we ain't that good. Like only we try to rationalize our talent level based on just what we've had in the past. But at the end of the day, my only point about Murray and Herbert, if we had Murray and Herbert, nobody would be asking to see Marcus Mariota. Period.
Let me ask you guys a question. You're saying Honch, you're saying teams around the league know that the Raiders' offensive weapons or whatever aren't that good, right? But are players saying, and there's been two teams now, are players saying it's the Raiders' offensive weapons that aren't good, or are players, for example, the Chargers and the Chiefs, both talk shit about Carr, saying Derek Carr gets happy feet, he's throwing ducks, right? He gets scared under pressure, as Joey Bosa said. They're not saying it's the weapons that suck. They're saying it's Derek Carr that sucks.
Because
right? That's what players are saying around the league.
Because when you're on defense, you're pretty much playing the quarterback. I mean, you think anybody's afraid to line up on Bryan Edwards? You think anybody's afraid to line up on Zay Jones?
Obviously not. Obviously not.
What corner? Yeah, I mean that's a good question because
I'm guarding Zay Jones this week. Yeah, I bet. Like what the fuck?
Think about the division. Like what corner in the division would you say is at the same level as Bryan Edwards as he is a receiver? Like, would you say Patrick Surtain is a better corner than Bryan Edwards is a wide receiver?
So here's the thing, though, right? Is we're looking at Bryan, though.
Would you say that?
We're looking at Bryan Edwards with Derek Carr as his quarterback. How many wide receivers have been top 5 with Derek Carr as a quarterback? Wide receivers, not tight ends. And tight ends are only good with Derek Carr.
How many should have been?
Team, right? Our team is to throw tight ends the ball. Yeah. How many wide receivers have been top 5 with Derek Carr?
How many wide receivers should have been top 5?
Amari Cooper could have been top 5. Michael Crabtree could have been top 5.
No, Michael Crabtree had his best years with Carr.
I mean, he was with Alex Smith his entire career, right? I mean, that's a different situation. But even then,
okay. What about Cooper? Cooper's stats were the same as they are in Dallas.
Even then, Wes Welker was a top 5 wide receiver a couple of times throughout his career with Tom Brady. How many times has Hunter Renfrow been a top 5 or will be with Derek Carr? How many times will it happen? It'll probably never happen, right? Hunter Renfrow
top 5.
Say that again.
How many top 5 receivers are the slot receiver?
It happens with top
tier. No, you asked the question. How many?
I don't know. I don't.
Top 5 receivers are the number 1 receiver.
No.
Top 5 receiver from the slot position.
It happens, man. It happens.
But I mean, I do like that question though. How many receivers are supposed to be top 5, right? Because you think about like right now, who are the top 5 receivers, right? You got the Hopkins who plays with Murray. You know what I mean? I've seen Murray literally chuck the ball up in the air and freaking Hopkins comes down with it with over 3 guys against the Bills. And people talking about that's a 50-yard touchdown pass by Murray. Yeah. Anybody could have thrown that shit up. You know what I mean? So who do we have that's going to make those catches?
I want to know how many slot receivers
that does stuff like that. I don't think we have players that do stuff like that. That's just my opinion. Like Josh Allen got Diggs. How many Diggs do we have on this team? I don't think we have one.
I mean, outside of Darren Waller, our weapons are not proven, right? They're young guys, right? Bryan Edwards is young.
You can't even call them weapons. You can't call them weapons yet. They're just players.
My thing is those guys are trading for top quality wide receivers. That's it. Josh Allen, they traded for Diggs. We got Zay Jones. Zay Jones didn't do nothing with Josh Allen.
Gallup is a wide receiver 3, and he'd be starting on our team and be the best by far.
Man,
He's their third wide receiver.
I think the game about to start, but there's a bunch of super chats, man. I didn't even get to read. Appreciate everybody that was.
They got a 20-yard run already? Oh, see, hell no. Get my jersey. Get my Derek Carr jersey.
Hey, I appreciate both you guys, man, and we're gonna do this more often for sure.
We gotta do this shit. This shit should be weekly. Fuck that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you pulling up. I know the game started. I know y'all probably want to go watch and everything, man. If y'all dropped the super chat, man, sorry we wasn't able to get to it. The show must go on. We was in here trying to. We didn't even scratch the surface. I ain't gonna lie. We didn't even scratch the surface. We barely even. You know what I mean? Just like barely. We didn't even talk about Derek Carr like that. But everybody dropping a super chat, I really do appreciate it, man. If y'all want to go, y'all could. You know what I mean, and go watch the game. Y'all appreciate you coming on, Sanjit. Honch.
I'm gonna go.
I want to read these. I want to read these super chats.
If my TV was in the same room, I would just stay. But my shit all the way in the other room.
Yep, same here, man. Yeah, I appreciate it, man, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man.
Yeah, let's get this shit going. Hey, Sanjit, bless up, man. Hope all is well with you and the family, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it, Sanjit.
Yo, Ray, hit me up after the game or some shit. Yo, we pull back up and do something.
All right, for sure, man. Appreciate it.
All right, bro.
All right. Man, that was it. Hey, that was a good show. I'm trying to get the game on right now. But that was a good show. Upcoming. Dang, it's already 13:44. Dang, they already on the 30-yard line? That's too much. Raider King, I appreciate everybody having super chat. I'm going to go over the super chats real quick as I just watched the game right here, I guess. Raider King 85, appreciate the support, brother. He says, what do you guys think about Coach B being so conservative, now going forward on fourth down and letting the clock run out at half with 50 seconds left? I think Coach B is just inexperienced. I just don't think he's an NFL caliber head coach. Nothing against him or, you know, his reputation, where he comes from, what he's done. But I think being special teams is just his thing. And I don't think being a head coach is all that, because that's why I think we're going to look for one. Dang, man. Abram came up with a good little tackle there. Oh, no, this ain't working. Come on. GTM 488 says, love y'all content. Hey, Honcho, we excited for the tank fight tonight, and have you considered doing a boxing channel too? Yeah, you'll have to hit up Honcho, man. Shoot. See what he says. I know he love that boxing. Need a big run game today to help DC get the win in this email bull. The email bull. Yeah, we got to take Washington out for sure. Cruise control at the effing game. Kids just took pics with Wayne, a.k.a. Violator. Effing great. That's fire, bro. Wow. Wow, that's terrible, yo. That's terrible. Dang, Miracle's on him. What are we doing? This thing don't be working. This thing ain't working. I don't know why this thing ain't working. They only got one touchdown in the opening quarter last in the season. We better stop them. Come on, bro. That's a 1 yard to a 6 yard gain. You got to make that tackle. Yeah, shout out to the Violator, man. That's dope. I see your picture right there with the Violator. Cruz. Bernard says, with hindsight, did we lose the Mac trade? We definitely lost the Mac trade. Definitely. Raid Honch and CNG, it don't get better than this. My question, what offensive skill player will make the biggest impact today? I mean, if we want to win, I would say it's got to be Carr, because the only way we win is if Carr puts up that work, puts that work up. If we can get our run game going with Josh Jacobs, that would be nice too. Carr aside, running backs who miss holes and drop balls are problems too, right? Yeah, most definitely, man. You can't be a first-round running back and drop passes and not be able to get at least 4 to 5 yards of run on average. Like, come on. I like Carr, but we don't know what the coaching staff is going to want. So I say we wait and see the Raiders bring in first. Let's get this W. Got to get this W. And yeah, that makes sense. We don't know what the new coaching staff is going to bring in or do. Does Carr have that dog in him? Ooh, that's a good question. I know some people always ask that. Oh my gosh, bro. This is what I'm talking. Like, how do you give this up? This is, you keep giving up. That should have been down in the backfield. That's twice. That's twice. You got to take him out there. That's not it. All right, y'all. I'm finna go watch the game though. I'm finna go watch the game. Appreciate everybody that pulled up to this live, yo. It was lit. Appreciate Sanjit coming on. Raid Honch pregame show. It's the latest Raiders pregame show there is, man. So I appreciate everybody pulling up in the support.